I grew up in a non-religious family, mainly atheists. I did not believe in God. I believed in the evolution theory, in the Big Bang theory, in all what is taught in school. I was kind of confused because I still did not have any connections with Islam. I had no Muslim friends. I had no Muslims in my life. I had the picture from the media of Islam. They're terrorists, the women have no rights, all the bad stuff which you can imagine. That was the image which I was pushed into my face from Islam. It has such a huge impact on the Muslim community that the view of entrepreneurship and money is negative. It doesn't even have any base in Islam. It doesn't even make sense. I don't even understand where that came from. We also look at the Sahaba. They were so successful, so rich. They conquered everything. What are we doing? Sitting around watching Netflix, subhanAllah.
What was the biggest challenge that you went through during that journey? Assalamu alaikum, Jeremy. Will you share your full Revert story with us?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Of course, I would love to. So for me, for my background, I'm from Switzerland. I'm half Swiss, half German, and I grew up in a non-religious family. Mainly atheists with the practice of the cultural Christians holidays, like how did I forget Christmas? So with the normal celebration of Christmas, Easter and that stuff, but not really religious, more cultural. So that's how I grew up. And I did not believe in God. I believed in the evolution theory, in the Big Bang theory, in all what is taught in school, because I was taught by school. And also my parents were like, yeah, that's the truth. We were monkeys and now we're humans. And I believe that because, of course, if everyone tells you something, you don't even question it. I didn't know any Muslims. I knew some Christians who also weren't like really religious, didn't really believe in God, were like also cultural. So I had no access to anyone who was religious. And that was just the truth for me because I didn't see anything else. But at some point, my life just went downhill, let's say that. It was at a pretty young age in school. I was met with bullying, with having no friends and no social circle. And I have ADHD and autism. So kind of special kid. The teachers didn't really like me because I was so hyperactive. So they also tried to put me on Ritalin. Is it rightly pronounced in English? That also worked, so I took that, but that worsened the situation even. I got hallucination, bad dreams, couldn't sleep, couldn't eat and stuff, so it wasn't that fun. Then I just stopped taking it, kind of without my parents' consent, but I just stopped because it was so bad for me and I didn't feel well. But I still didn't feel well in general in life. So I did not really have a purpose. I didn't know why to do anything because I was a hazard to, or I felt like that. I was a hazard to my social circle, which was my school class, because there was the kid which is not really accepted, which is the one outside kid, and the people didn't like me. And that was also due to some stuff which I did because I didn't understand how to socially behave. But also the same was in my family. There was a lot of issues because of me, and I was at a point where I was like, why? Why even continue that? I am just a hazard. I'm just something negative for all the people around me, even the people I like. Why should I continue? I was thinking of ending it because I did not see any purpose. Alhamdulillah, I have a very good family, so they were never in that direction and they tried to help me, but I still felt like that. And I thought about that and I did plans and everything. So I was at a very low point because I really didn't see any reason in life. And that was then also the route where firstly I went into worse directions, like let's say music or also substances or whatever, to try to find ease, find peace, find something that is fulfilling me. Obviously, none of that worked. because we all know that doesn't work. And I was still looking for something higher and something which is giving me anything in life, like purpose. And then then I thought, like, we as humans, we cannot be the highest. We cannot be the utmost thing in universe. It doesn't make sense. So there needs to be a god or something higher or anything. And the first logical thing which is there is obviously Christianity in Switzerland, with a whole Christian family, or mainly culture, but still Christian. And I looked into that, and a lot of that made sense. Like, there's God, okay, he's all powerful, okay, that makes sense. He created the earths and the heavens, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that sounds like the truth. But then I looked into other stuff. There's the Trinity. Yani Isa alayhi salam, Jesus is God. Why? That doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not like, it doesn't make sense to me, so it can't be true. So I ask people, ask him, her, them, whoever. Everyone had an answer. Everyone had a different answer, and none of them made sense. So I didn't understand. And there is also other stuff, like there's taxes in church, there's whatever. And I can't believe that the truth doesn't make sense. So I was kind of confused because I still did not have any connections with Islam. I had no Muslim friends. I had no Muslims in my life. I didn't even know what Islam is. I had the picture from the media of Islam. It's they're terrorists and the women have no rights and all the bad stuff which you can imagine. That was the image which I was pushed into my face from Islam. But somehow I can't even recall how. I was connected with Islam through social media, through some stuff which I saw, some posts, and it was like, okay, that's Islam. Let me look into that. There's some TikTok video. Okay, there's some YouTube video which I can watch. There are some rewords are there. There's some stuff I can read. I don't know why my heart was open to it. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided me. But I looked into Islam, and there it was similar to Christianity. A lot made sense, and some stuff I didn't understand. For example, why does the woman not have the same rights as the man? Why is that the way? Because in the Western culture, it's taught you it's men and women are the same. So I was, why is that way? But then I asked questions. I asked people. I looked it up, and it made sense. Men and women are just not the same. Why should they have the same rights and obligations? Yeah, and then I looked deeper into Islam, and every question I had was answered. And everyone answered it the same way. It was not he and she and they have different answers. It's that's the truth. Okay. And Muslims are also so strong in their faith. They're not thinking of, oh, am I in the right religion or no? They're like, it's Islam. We're not even going to talk about it. And from there on, I looked deeper into it. I also started to try to pray because Muslims are praying. So I need to try that one. Is that good? And then I started to pray every day. Like, once I still didn't take my Shahada. I did not accept Islam yet. And I also did not fully believe in my heart. But I started praying just to practice, and new Muslims do that. So I need to try that. And from there on, I did that for, like, let's say 1 month, 2 months. And after some point, I accepted in my heart that Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I just accepted it. I just was, I knew it was the truth. But I didn't want to take my Shahada, but I was praying. So in the Tashahhud, I did the Shahada without even knowing it, and I became Muslim without even knowing that I became Muslim at that point. Subhanallah. And then a couple weeks later, I also went to the masjid, and there did it officially in the group, because I didn't know that the Shahada is also counted if you are alone. I thought there needs to be witnesses because someone told me, but for the Shahada there needs to be no witnesses. But yeah, so that was the way, and from there on, my life really drastically changed. I had that purpose which I was looking for. I live for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to please Him, to serve Him. And not only that has changed, also my life fully. I am now I have very great friends. I have very great circles. Alhamdulillah, I'm married. And my life changed very drastically. And it didn't just change like once, but it's continually improving in every aspect since I've looked into Islam, which is 2.5 years ago. And there I accepted Islam, and it's just continuing to improve. Alhamdulillah, now I did hijrah to Dubai to live in a Muslim country, and also got married 2.5 weeks ago to a great Muslim wife who is very strong in faith. So Alhamdulillah, there Allah blessed me very well because she has even more knowledge than me. She is the daughter of a great Imam, and SubhanAllah, so that's very beneficial. Yeah, so
Allahumma
that's my
barak,
story.
bro. Allahumma barak. So, okay, you say a lot changed.
Yes.
If you could point the biggest one internally about you, what do you think was the biggest thing that changed about you?
Fulfillment. I can wake up and I feel a sense of purpose. I feel a sense of fulfillment. I feel well. It doesn't matter if things are going well, if there's any financial is good or no, or if there's issues, if there's that. It doesn't really matter to me in my heart, to what I feel like, because I am pleased with my creator. I'm pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I do everything so He is with me as well. And this gives me a sense of ease, and I'm not, I don't rely on outside circumstances to be happy, to be fulfilled, or to feel good.
I noticed that a lot when I looked at Muslims when I was an atheist. They were like the only group of people that seemed to be like content and happy regardless of what was going on, right? Bad day, alhamdulillah. Good day, alhamdulillah.
Yes.
So how long ago was it that you took your Shahada?
2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago. Okay. Over the 2.5 years, what was the biggest challenge that you went through during that journey?
Honestly, I would say nothing really was a challenge. Everything was, alhamdulillah, made very easy for me on that path. I was kind of scared of stuff, or was worried about stuff. And there, like at the beginning, it is, stuff was hard because I was still there going to school. So it was kind of hard to do the prayers in like the Dhuhr prayer when the school is long and then you need to pray somewhere. And even the Muslims in Switzerland, no one of them is praying. So they're just all them. There are very little Muslims. It's like 1%, and they're not even praying. So there was a difficulty at the beginning. Afterwards, there came different ones. Like for me, also something which I was also confronted by my family in a negative ways. The fact that men and women are not supposed to do anything or even shake hands, touch each other. So that is something in a Western culture which is looked very much down upon because it's seen as disrespectful if you're not shaking the hand of a woman. So with that, I faced some issues, but it also wasn't hard. It was, to be honest, very easy for me because Allah made it easy for me, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. Also, now I'm living in Dubai, a Muslim country, and I'm praying all my prayers in the masjid. So they also did struggle with before in Switzerland because the travel was like 30 minutes to the masjid because there was no closer one, and that's kind of difficult to pray 5 times a day there. So I just tried to pray Fajr there. But that was a difficulty. But alhamdulillah, I'm now living right next to the masjid, so it's 2 minutes from there. But no, there's nothing really which I would say. It was a path to get closer, to do right things, to learn and everything. But somehow I did not struggle with anything really, to be honest. I'm kind of surprised by that right now, but
Alhamdulillah. That's alhamdulillah. What was the parents' reaction? How did they react?
at the beginning they were confused, like why Muslim? My grandma was, why these Muslims? I don't like them. Why can't you be like Buddhist or a Jew, or why didn't you choose any of that? Okay, nice reaction. But they were kind of accepting. My parents also firstly did realize they cannot change anything about that. I'm now Muslim, and they also didn't have a problem with that. Oh, one thing I struggle with that just came to mind. This is halal food in a country like Switzerland, because there no restaurant has it, and there is like also nearly no butchers, which where you can buy it. That was quite a struggle, like finding halal food. Also, well, because I was living with my family till I was 17. So also at that time, it was difficult for me to eat halal food. And at the beginning, I didn't even know. I didn't even know that there is halal food and there is a difference, and non-halal food is not allowed. Uh, that was a struggle. But the one thing which they were kind of, why are you doing that? Is with the when I decided I'm not shaking the hands with women. And that was is because it's seen as disrespectful in Western culture.
How did you like explain it? Like, or did you just not explain it? You're just like, this
Yeah,
is
I
what it is.
explained it. I told them, yeah, it's because in Islam we cut it like in a tree. We cut it at the stem. There's the first kind of touch is not allowed, and they were all like, "That's normal. You can shake the hand of a woman. That's not you're not having sex with a woman because you're shaking the hand." Yeah, of course not. But it's the rule of Islam. It's not my rule. It's the rule of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and I'm following that. You can like it. You can dislike it. I don't care.
Yeah, I remember I heard someone said beautifully, Islam is a preventative religion, right? It's like,
Yeah.
is shaking a woman's hand, like, is the world going to blow up if Jeremy goes shake some girl's hand? No, it's not. But imagine if it's shaking hands and then every man and woman, then it's okay, then it's hugging, right? And then you keep pushing the line farther and farther and farther. And then that's how we get to what we have in Western society, where you keep pushing. It was shaking hands and now it's what we can't even say on YouTube, right?
Yeah, it's there is in cultures, like in the Swiss culture, it's normal to kiss the other person, like the other gender, as friends, any on the mouth. Married people.
Really?
Yeah.
Astaghfirullah.
So there's no end to that. The shaitan is strong.
I had heard that Switzerland was like one of the more Islamophobic places on the globe.
Yeah. There are some struggles with that. For example, the niqab of the woman is prohibited with a fine of about 1,200 euros the first time, and then it doubles, I think, for the next time. So that's kind of difficult, but there will be a solution, inshallah.
Mm-hmm. What was the like getting involved in a Muslim community for the first time? What was that like?
That I was for a very long time when I was Muslim. I was not involved in any Muslim communities. I was just by myself for the first year. Yeah, for about the first year or a year and a half. And then I somehow started to attend the masjid more frequently, like not only to the Jummah prayer, but also went to some Dhuhr prayer on Sunday when I was had time. Or afterwards, I got to know people, and I frequently went to the Fajr prayer. And this was one of the greatest experience because Muslims are, especially the Muslims who are practicing and often attending the masjid, are so good people, are so open-hearted that they helped me to start reading Arabic, helped me with everything, and they don't even expect anything in return, nothing. And that is something which nowhere you find that. And also the warm-heartedness, the welcomeness, and the community is so good. Alhamdulillah.
What has been your favorite thing you've learned throughout the last 2.5 years that you've learned about Islam? Your favorite lesson?
Everything is written. I don't need to think, what if I did something different? What if I would have done that instead of that? No. It's written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this will happen. This good thing will happen, this bad thing will happen. I don't need to worry. I need to do my best, but if it happened, khalas.
What about the people who then go and use this as an excuse to like not put in maximum effort? I'll give some context to this, okay? Because I think this is a really fascinating topic. I'd love to get your 2 cents on it. I as well love that about Islam. And I think it's been one of my favorite things is almost surrendering to qadr of Allah, right? That's what's going to happen. What happened is what's supposed to happen. But then sometimes I look back on my life before I was a Muslim and I see that I almost like forced something into reality. Like I wanted something so bad. I wanted to achieve a certain goal so bad that I put like maximum effort, losing sleep over everything to achieve this goal. And then I wonder if I was Muslim, would I have been like, if it happens, it happens. And then I didn't put as much effort and then it didn't end up happening. Right. And I think many people use the Allah plans everything. So I'm going to kind of just like let it happen. And I believe it's a balance, right? You have to have the balance of not over stressing about outcomes, but then also tying your camels. What is your opinion on this?
Yeah, I also agree with that. It depends on like how important is the goal to you. Is it like it would be good if I achieve that, then you don't need to put in immense amounts of effort. But if it's like you're told before you became Muslim, there were some things where I need that goal, and you did everything for it. Islam doesn't tell you to not do that. Of course, in the boundaries of Islam, you shouldn't neglect your prayers or do haram. But if there is something which is important to you, you are supposed to give your best effort. And I think Muslims are misusing the concept that everything is written, which it is, for not putting in the effort. But that's a problem of the Muslims, not of Islam.
I agree. I'll add another thing, because I got a piece of advice from a brother who has more knowledge than me, but I actually didn't agree with his advice. And it was, I was trying to achieve a certain thing and just, there was an issue every time. I had a certain goal. Right? This was like 2 months ago. I was trying to hit this goal. And every time something would happen, right? There was always an issue. And he said, maybe Allah is trying to stop you from doing this because you're not supposed to achieve it, right? You're not supposed to do this thing. I think maybe Allah is putting this many barricades, right? Because it's not what's written for you. But then I was thinking, I don't know, maybe Allah is putting this many barricades to see if I actually want it, right? To see, was I about it? Was I about the talk that I put in? And then I did everything I possibly could to make it happen. But also I think if I was so on everything, qadr of Allah, I might have just thrown the towel in the 5th time something came up and okay, it's not what's written for me. And then I wouldn't have done it. But I ended up achieving the goal, but I had to achieve it to where I was like, I'm not going to give up. I don't care. It can go wrong 1,000 times. I'm make it happen. You see what I'm saying?
I want to know the goal. Can you tell?
I won't say it online, but it was a very personal, family related goal. Okay. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
Okay. Yeah, I do totally agree with it, with your statement, not really with his. Of course, that can also be true, that if there is something which Allah is protecting you from, which you want to achieve and it's not good for you, of course, can also be the case. But I do believe that the exact same route is the right route which you went. If it's really you wanted, and I feel like the goal was kind of important to you, at least seemed like that, then you should put in your best effort and you should try your best, and Allah gives it if it's good for you. But I think in that sense, still, where you were, what I think, correct me if you have a different opinion, but what is important is still to be in the mindset of, I give my best effort, I try my best, and I try 1,000 times. Allah give it for me if it is good for me, and He can take it away from me if it is bad for me. So I think in that sense, even though how bad, at least for me, I want something, and I'm working very hard for stuff which I want bad, because I have ADHD. I'm very impulsive. If I want something, I'm running into that direction until I'm there. But still, I go with the mindset of Allah's plan is better than mine. My plan is to get that, but if it is not written for me, it's not.
Mm. Yeah, it's almost like ruthlessly attacking the goal we want to achieve, but still not tying our happiness or our life to the outcome.
Your words were 1,000 times better than mine.
My words were just based off what you said. Well, I mean, it's a topic I'm really fascinated with. And I actually, the slogan of this podcast is called Balancing the Dunya and the Akhirah, because I think so many Muslims mess up this whole idea of sitting around and chilling, right? That's not what Muslims are supposed to do. We're supposed to do stuff. We're supposed to go out and build and do things for the sake of Allah, but then also not stress about the outcome. Do everything we can, but not stress about what happens.
Mm, absolutely. If we also look at the Sahaba, they were so successful. They were also somewhere so rich. They conquered everything. What are we doing? Sitting around watching Netflix. Subhanallah.
It's a good point. Were you interested in the whole like self-improvement before you were a Muslim, or did this come after you were a Muslim?
Before I was Muslim, I tried to look better. That it was not that big of a thing like that looks maxing community as it is right now, which is I don't know, what is that? What are people doing, honestly? But I kind of tried to do that, but not because I was just satisfied, and I thought if I look better, then my life will be easier. It didn't work, but no, not much before.
Because you strike me as someone who's in self-improvement. You strike me as someone who like wants to be healthy, wants to, have an organized life. You don't
Yeah.
strike me as someone who's their life's in shambles, right? It sounds like you're actively trying to build the life you want to have.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, my profession, my business is fitness coaching. I help men, mainly entrepreneurs and self-employed people, to lose weight and be healthier. So it's exactly what I do. And yeah, I do try to build the life which is like I try to build the best life for me, my family. For more context, at 15, I founded my first company that was a GmbH. It's equivalent to a LLC. It was in the influencer space. I did some advertising for a supplement brand because I was into bodybuilding. I also had quite some success and international championships, which I went second place and stuff, but not that important. I stopped that for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because in bodybuilding, obviously, you're not covering your aura. And at 17, I moved out of my parents' home, and at 18, I did hijrah to Dubai. And now, 3 weeks ago, I got married, 2.5 weeks ago. And I'm building that life which I want to live because Allah gives me the opportunity. And as you said, I'm not like it's written by Allah, so I can just do nothing. It's Allah's plan is the best, and I'm working very hard for it to live in Allah's way. And I'm praying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses me for good towards my family, but also towards the ummah.
I have a mindset I've developed over the last like year, and I want to get your opinion on it. It is this whole our rizq is written for us, right? Our provisions is written for us. What we're gonna get is written for us. And I struggled with this for a while, right? Because before this, I was in like the full entrepreneur self-improvement life, like just like force what you want, force it to happen, right? This is like bend reality your will. We can't do that as Muslims. Allah is the one who bends reality. But what I realized is we can change how we view our rizq and what Allah has written for us, right? Because you don't know what Allah has written for you. You could have the most crazy thing written, or you could have something small written. But what we can control is, what do I think Allah has written for me? Because if we think Allah has written a certain thing for us, it'll change our behavior, right? So I like to think, I believe Allah has written mass amounts of rizq for me. This huge thing, right? With impact and with helping people in this life that I want to build. And then it's like, okay, well, Allah wrote that for me in my mind. I believe He has. So that means I now have to do maximum output to achieve what I believe Allah has written for me. Versus if I was like, yeah, maybe Allah has written a little thing, I'd kind of just be chill, right? Allah has written me this life on my beach in Indonesia, and I drink my coconuts, right? And I hang out, right? And I chill. It's like, or Allah has written to do as much for his sake, right? Now I have him every day I wake up, okay, well, if Allah has written that, I have to put in everything. I have to put in all my effort. And it's motivated me a lot to do more. And for the sake of Allah, inshallah.
100%. I agree totally with that. And yeah, also you're acting very differently if you're believing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written for you huge amounts of success. But also for me, what I see is as important, because yani, I also had some quite decent success before I was Muslim. Like I don't make a secret out of like money topics, because I think why is it such a topic, especially in Germany where you're not allowed to speak about? I don't know how it is in America. I think it's a bit more open. But with 15, starting of 16, I had some success with the corporations, sponsorships, and my best month was like nearly 10,000 US dollars, which I made. I was also traveling, Ibiza, Thailand, in Europe, many places and stuff. So I was living that kind of good life, which we see on Instagram, but didn't fulfill me at all. It gave me nothing. But the money, of course, money is a tool, which is important. And I want to make a lot of money because it's very beneficial also for security. But mainly, I want to have a positive impact, because I think that is in the akhirah, your money isn't going to help you. What you did is, inshallah, going to help you.
Do you think Muslims have a negative view on entrepreneurship and money in general?
Absolutely, and it has such a huge impact on the Muslim community that the view of entrepreneurship and money is negative. And it doesn't even have any base in Islam. It doesn't even make sense. I don't even understand where that came from.
What do you think they misunderstand?
In general, how entrepreneurship is, what are the benefits and downsides from it, and money as well. Because, of course, if you're seeing the Western entrepreneurs who are partying all the weekend and doing that, that's not good. But that isn't the same as entrepreneurship. If we look at the Sahaba, they had huge business, they had huge success, they had huge money. Why aren't we following them?
There's absolutely nothing wrong with a Muslim having a bunch of money and a bunch of successful businesses. It all comes down to how you use it. And also, that Muslim doesn't have to run a charity. They don't need to donate 60% of their wealth. If they want to run a halal business and pay their 2.5% zakat and spend the rest of their money on supercars, is it wrong? I don't know. It's just a question to throw out there, right? Is it wrong?
No, it's not wrong. Maybe it's not the best thing.
Yeah, it's not the best. I wouldn't recommend it, right? But it's like
you're still having a huge impact if you're making that amount of money and paying a 2.5%. Wallahi, you're donating, like you're paying more zakat than hundreds of other people. So it's still good, but I don't think you should then only buy supercars.
I agree. There's been something that's been on my mind a lot recently. It's been this term that I haven't heard anyone else say it, but I've been thinking it to myself. Modern day Sahaba. How can we have more Muslims living in this generation that are like a modern day Sahaba? Meaning, how can we get more Muslims in this generation that actually live their life like the Sahaba did, right? An example is the Sahaba had such high iman when a revelation was revealed immediately. Okay, accept, right? For example, like the believing women must cover themselves. Remember when that verse came down, they literally ran inside to cover themselves. There was a Sahaba who was like chopping wood one day. He heard the adhan go off, drops his axe mid-swing and goes and prays, right? That's the level of iman they had. And then they made these huge businesses and this huge success and these huge skills, all for the sake of Allah. Now imagine if we had more people in this generation like that, these modern day Sahaba, how much could we do for Islam? How much could we do with dawah? if we had more modern day Sahabas.
Yeah, you're right. It would be incredible. What are your points of view? How can we, or what is your plan? Because I know you have a plan on that one. How can you help the Ummah to make the people, the Muslims, more like that?
Okay. I would say it's a multi step plan. I think step number one is you have to destigmatize business and wealth, right? Okay. How do all the
Mm-hmm.
mosques built? With wealth. How do all the people get employed? With businesses. Okay. These are both needed. We need the wealth and we need the business.
Sure.
Now, the third thing we need to do is stop assuming that we understand someone's intention, right? We have no idea why they're doing it. Okay. Many people do things for the sake of Allah, and they also get a lot of success, but their intention was for the sake of Allah. So I think these three things are the foundation that has to be laid. We have to get that installed in as many Muslims as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I believe it's by fixing the men, right? I think too many people blame women for all the problems in the Ummah, which is like the most ridiculous thing ever. It's like, okay, you cannot say men are supposed to lead women and then women are astray. And you're like, it's the women's fault. It's like, weren't you supposed to lead them? Get it together, right?
It's such a Western film to blame the woman.
100%. So you do those four things, then I think you have a strong foundation. Then I think it's just about educating and building actually strong knowledge for the men, real knowledge, real scholarly knowledge that goes back to the first three generations of the Muslims. And I believe naturally, once people have knowledge, then that will happen. Right? I think that's the fix. Knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think, yeah, first to get the mindset or whatever you want to call it right of the people, like the view on money and business, and then knowledge.
So, what would you say to someone listening to this and they're like, yeah, I get that. I'd like to, maybe I want to be a modern day Sabr. Maybe I want to get my life together. What would you tell this person? What pieces of wisdom and advice would you give them? Say a younger brother, he's 16, 17.
Mm-hmm. First of all, having that view on business, that business is something good. In general, it is, or not even good, it's something neutral. Business is something which is neutral. You can either use it for good or use it for bad. Two men who are doing the exact same business with a different intention, get a totally different reward or punishment. The one is doing it to go to a casino and gamble and go to the strip club, whatever. And the other one is doing it to give charity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Both are doing the exact same work, the exact same hours, and doing the exact same. Even if they both die before they are able to spend their money in the way they want to spend it, they will be judged completely differently by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's the business in itself is neutral. Your intention is what makes it good or bad. So if you're going into business, into money with the right intention, you will get reward for it. If you're going into business and making a lot of money for the intention to support your family, you don't even need for the intention for donation, just to support your family, to spend on your wife. You will get reward for that, inshallah. So that is the first part which you said, and then seeking some knowledge from there. What would you say is the best source which is easy to seek some beneficial knowledge?
A local teacher. I think that's far better than anything online. If you can find someone local, I think that's the best way to actually learn. Like if there's a good local imam or classes that you can learn from. That's my always recommendation to a revert.
What if they don't have access to that?
I mean, it depends where they are. There's so many countless people with different online resources of where to learn your deen. But I'll be honest with you, and this is something that I want to work on. If you're a revert, say it's someone new coming to Islam, I don't actually think there's that many great centralized areas on how to learn the proper foundations from square one. If you're a born Muslim who knows the foundations of Islam and you need to seek classical knowledge, right, like actually learn more in depth, that's different. There's a lot of different people who have like online courses, right? And I wouldn't say one or the other. They should give me a paycheck if I promote them. Side note. But if you're a revert, I don't actually think there's really amazing things. Many reverts learn all of their deen on YouTube. Classical knowledge, I think, is best in person, but I wouldn't have one online that I'd recommend. There's a bunch. There's a bunch of people. I've learned much from Ustad Abu Tamia. He has a great online course that teaches really good stuff. There's a couple other sheikhs that I listen to that have good stuff as well. Why, do you have a recommendation?
Not really, to be honest. That's the reason I was asking you.
It's a
Because
serious
for
problem, bro. It's a serious problem. See, right there, we're saying knowledge. We should be able to know where to send people, but we don't.
so for everyone listening, there is your business opportunity. Do this one. You will have
That's
great
facts.
success, and not because there's like actually um, in the market there's not very much a good person, online course, YouTuber, which is teaching these basics, or at least I'm not able to point out someone. So if anyone watching this video or this podcast here takes this opportunity, he can gain immense success in the financial also. But if you're doing that one, you're also getting great reward, inshallah, for every single Muslim you're helping. So
And right there, someone will go, but Jeremy, wouldn't it be wrong for me to charge money to teach them about Islam? And this is when I'll say, back the first 3 generations of Muslims, people would pay to learn Quran, right? They'd sit in the masjid and they would all pay someone to learn from Quran from. So you cannot think it's wrong. It's fine to get paid to give dawah. It's fine to get paid to teach people. Like this whole notion that our imams should not get paid, bro.
it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make any sense because they're working for that. And I saw that with some. I think that the thing which you can do if you are like, I cannot charge people because what if people cannot afford it? I saw that online with some courses that they charge for it, but they're saying if you seriously cannot afford it, then you can email us and we can inshallah help you there with a discount or something. If you then feel at ease, if you're doing that, like charging for it, but for the people who are very poor, you can give it to them. I think that's what makes it easier for the people in the heart to charge.
Okay. So the destigmatizing money in business and then seeking knowledge, is there anything else you would advise this person wanting to start on their journey?
Getting into shape, honestly. Being fit. You don't need to be a bodybuilder, but don't be fat, because that's also Islamically seen not good. I would even say that is haram, because you're not supposed to harm your body. And if you're fat, you definitely are harming your body with like everything. You're living less. Have a shorter life. You have less energy. You're less able to practice in business, but also in Islamic affairs. And if you're very much overweight, at some point you won't be able to pray in a normal way. You need to sit down praying because of your unhealthiness. So that cannot be what you're doing. So what my recommendation there is, the simplest thing you can do is, if you're right now overweight and have less muscle, just work out 2 to 3 times a week for 30 minutes. You can either do it at the gym or at home. It's very easy. Just follow a simple plan. And then for the nutrition, see that you're avoiding fried foods, like not some fries, not everything that is fried, just cut it, and then only eat 2 to 3 times and don't eat snacks. If you do that, you will lose weight. You don't need to focus on that too much. You do the workout and you get healthier and you're able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better. You're healthier, and also in business you will be more successful, inshallah.
That's another topic that it seems really bothers a lot of Muslims. I've made a couple videos saying you shouldn't be a fat Muslim, and it's like apparently the most controversial thing I've ever said. I mean, I get straight like immediately when you say you shouldn't be a fat Muslim, people go and they start listing all of the exceptions. Well, this person has this disease. It's like, we're not talking about those people. We're talking about the average person. I 100% agree, right? I 100% also agree with the opinion. It's not my opinion. It's a scholarly opinion that like eating immense amounts of junk food is also impermissible, right? How can we say that
Obvious.
smoking cigarettes is haram, but if you eat the equivalent in junk food and sugar, which is worse for you, oh, it's fine because it's food.
Yeah, exactly. I follow the exact same reasoning. It doesn't even make sense. And you're eating McDonald's every day, but how is that not haram?
Yeah,
You're
100%.
harming yourself. You're harming your body. You're harming your work. You're harming your worship. How can that be permissible?
I have a closing question that I do on this podcast. Okay. If you had a microphone and say you could speak into this microphone and every single person in the world would hear what you say, what would you say?
Open your heart towards Islam and don't believe strictly what the media is saying. Look at Muslims, what they are doing.
Jeremy, thank you for the conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.